Sunday, the 4th of Feb 2024, Grammy Sunday. Recently, somebody was trying to explain to me the psyche behind what's going on with the election 2024 in terms of no real person in cable news TV will ever push Trump and stand up to what he actually has to say because they know they will never get an opportunity to interview a major politician again. Is that true? Is that why a former guy turns up on Fox News and is just given an easy ride? Zero pushback, like nothing? Is that why somebody that Trump will never put himself in front of a TV camera with anybody who isn't likely to be trying to crawl up his rectum?
Oh, I would say maybe it's going to be more than that because we're going to have, look, I want China to do great. I do. And I like President Xi a lot. He was a very good friend of mine during my term.
Well, look, COVID cover-up, intellectual property
when
theft.
COVID came,
the list is long from our number one adversaries. So I don't know if he's a friend.
No, but I got along with him great. I'm not sure he loved what I was doing because I was, getting along with him.
I don't think he wants you in the White House, Mr.
No, he doesn't. The market almost crashed when I won Iowa and New Hampshire. The market went down tremendously. I think they're going to vote for me. So I think we're going to give New York a heavy shot. They're very unhappy in New York, what's happening. And they're unhappy with the crime. You take a look at the crime in New York, it's at record levels. The other thing is, and very importantly, New Jersey. I think New Jersey can be flipped. I think that Virginia can be flipped. I think that New Mexico could be flipped. And I think Minnesota could be flipped. And I'm not even sure that everything can't be flipped.
And you focused on Pennsylvania, too.
I did great in Pennsylvania twice.
Will you pursue it and said many policy ideas and lots of hope ahead, but you're going to need a willing partner in the Senate. Senate leadership is against you. Mitch McConnell, he's massively anti-Trump. How are you going to work with him?
I think Mitch McConnell wants to endorse me. That's what I hear.
Really?
John Cornyn just endorsed me. I don't know if you know that or not, but John Cornyn just endorsed me. The money that they get, people are not looking at the RNC. They want changes. You have to understand, I have nothing to do with the RNC. I'm separate.
How's Ronna McDaniel doing?
I think she did great when she ran Michigan for me. I think she did okay initially in the RNC. I would say right now there'll probably be some changes made.
You've said many.
The Republicans have to be tougher.
You talk about this optimism ahead that we could see some relief, but the RNC doesn't seem to be so strong. I mean, the Democrats have all the money. Look at what we see. We've got the Democrats actually with the money and spending it. The RNC seeking credit lines. The RNC reported its lowest bank balance at the point in any year in 2016. Comerica says Michigan GOP defaulted on a loan of $500,000.
So I have a lot of money. And the money that they get, people are not looking at the RNC. They want changes. You have to understand, I have nothing to do with the RNC. I'm a New York person. I was a New York builder.
Well, you were an outsider, and that's why
I was a total outsider.
For you.
But the one problem with that, and I love the outsider thing, but you don't know people, so you're relying on other people to give you names to be the head of this, head of that. And by the way, we had unbelievable people. We had some, look, I rebuilt the military.
Yeah, but your critics say you had plenty of personnel mistakes.
No, of course, but everybody does. Obama had. What about Biden? Look at the people running this Biden thing. The difference is I fire people. I fired Comey. I got rid of him.
You didn't fire Christopher Wray.
Well, you know what? At the time, I don't know. Let's see what the final judgment is. But I didn't fire Christopher Wray. I didn't fire people I would have, but I fired a lot of people. I had turnover. They have no turnover right now.
How do you know?
You know what I would love, by the way? It did happen during the impeachment, but this would make for great TV. Dan Goldman and Trump. TV cameras. Let's go. One thing I will say, though, is when it does come to the presidential discussions, or no, not discussions, debates, that's the word, I think Biden will have a totally different tact to last time around. Because if you watch any of these Trump interviews, come on, he's never been tackled with a real question for a long, long time. Like, nothing.
First was a report from Politico revealing some of the things Joe Biden calls Donald Trump behind closed doors. We're going to put it up on the screen. None of it surprised me, really, but we're a family show, so we're not going to say any of it. But you get the idea from what you see there. Congressman, I mean, those comments from Troy Nehls and from Chuck Grassley, there are many others like them, but they kind of take my breath away. Break down for us exactly what's going on here and what do you attribute it to?
Well, what's going on is that the Republicans have used the border as a political cudgel for this entire Congress. And they have passed in the House an extreme draconian measure that would not actually effectively address the border issues. So now President Biden, Secretary Mayorkas, and a bipartisan group of senators, at urging of the Republicans, who, as you say, linked the Ukraine funding as well as other international funding for democracies around the world to the border, now as they are nearing completion, or they have completed, a bipartisan deal that by all accounts has many measures that Republicans have been crying for decades. Now, as it's ready to become law, they want to sabotage it and undermine it. And the only reason is because Donald Trump wants to use the border as a political weapon, as a political cudgel, and he can't do that if a bipartisan group actually passes legislation to solve the issues at the border. So he would rather have the chaos because it's better for himself than he would the solution, which is better for the American people.
Speaker, I wanted to ask you, because you wrote an op-ed about this, and this really stuck out to me, the hypocrisy here. I mean, they're doing this while simultaneously trying to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security for saying, in their words, that he's not doing enough about the border. But they're blocking legislation that would help do something about the border. You have an op-ed, but give me your take on that.
Well, the cynicism and hypocrisy is startling. The House Republicans are trying to impeach Secretary Mayorkas for failing to address the problems at the border while he is negotiating with the Senate legislation that is necessary because executive action is insufficient in this situation. He is negotiating legislation that would address the border. So the House Republicans, rather than engage in those negotiations to try to find bipartisan solutions in divided government, instead are using this sham impeachment that is absolutely baseless, that demeans and debases the impeachment clause of the Constitution, turns it into a pure political weapon, and they're doing that while President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas are trying to solve the problems at the border. They are doing this purely for political reasons and political gain. And what it is showing right now is that Republicans, especially in the House, do not want to solve the problems that the American people care about. They just want power, and they just want to help Donald Trump.
It's such an important point, and you have a unique experience with this, that there is an impeachment clause in the Constitution that they are essentially making fun of by what they're doing. It's absurd what they're doing. I want to